Today we'll be making a quirky connection between something a lot of people do, which is scuba diving. We're gonna connect that with Limnic eruptions and specifically the Lake Nyos disaster that happened in Cameroon in 1986. So a law that affects a lot of our Earth's energy systems is the variation of pressure with depth, rho gh. So as we move down the atmosphere and down any body of water, the pressure increases. As a consequence, another law, I guess, which affects the Earth's energy systems again is Henry's law. And a consequence of Henry's law is that with increased pressure, gases become more soluble in liquids. So, with scuba diving, something most scuba divers, or all I think, know is that as they go back to the surface, they should do that at stages and not just at once. Because as they go up, the pressure decreases, and hence the solubility of any gas in their body decreases, causing, I guess, bubbles. And because when they're in water, they breathe oxygen mixed with inert gases such as nitrogen. So nitrogen becomes dissolved in the bloodstream, um, and as they move up, pressure decreases. So the nitrogen pressure decreases according to the equation rho gh, and nitrogen becomes less soluble as a consequence of Henry's law. So what happens is that the the nitrogen, instead of being uh, dissolved in the bloodstream or other inert gases, not just nitrogen, it starts forming bubbles, and these bubbles can move around the body, entering tissues and bloodstream, causing decompression sickness. Uh, and some consequences of DCS is paralysis and death. So what scuba divers do is they go up slowly in stages, so that the dissolved gases could escape safely through the lungs or through microbubbles that wouldn't harm the human body. So that's a consequence of the variation of pressure with depth and the variation of solubility with pressure, change in pressure. So we could connect that to a disaster called the Lake Nyos disaster, which happened in Cameroon in 1986. 1,700 people died within a 25-kilometer radius. And what happened is Lake Nyos is a lake in a volcanic crater, and water at the bottom of the lake had an accumulation of CO2 over the years. And because of the high pressure, so much CO2 was dissolved at the bottom of the lake because of the high pressure. Yeah? So it's disputed what actually caused the water to move, but some people say a volcanic eruption or a landslide. So the shifting of the water moved up, moved into the water full of CO2, moved into a region of lower pressure, meaning that gases in that water will become less soluble, and because it has so much CO2 in it, all the CO2 became insoluble, and hence formed huge an eruption of CO2 basically. This eruption was so big it caused waves of incredible height. But more importantly, there were clouds, I guess. They're not actually clouds, but they smoke of CO2 to move down the valleys because CO2 is denser than air. And because the CO2 started moving at high speeds in areas around in valleys around the lake, many villagers breathed the air, causing suffocation and death. Also, a lot of the feedstock died. Everybody within a 25-kilometer radius died. So that's a bit of an unfortunate uh, connection between scuba diving, which is an activity a lot of people do, and a natural disaster caused by a natural phenomenon that happens a lot. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.